Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well tonight, wherever you are. This is a really important video, I think. I just want to say outright that, guys, welcome to the Heart of David. My life is just kind of like, like I got so many things going on. It's like, I just wanted to shout out to the person who puts these videos out, Jason A. And they're very catchy things and a lot of worldly stuff too. But I get a lot of good information in here. And I'm not, if Jason A. saw this, I'm not criticizing you, but in any case, I think this is different. Peace and safety is what I mean. We've been hearing that repeatedly for, what was it? When was the first time we heard that? Maybe it was about 6 months ago. It was Donald Trump and maybe Netanyahu, I think. They were at some type of conference, and I did a video on that. Guys, I'm really shaky. I'm going to tell you why afterwards. Just my health in general, but this is different, and I want you to hear this, and I'll make some commentary on it, and before I hit play here, so it'll be at about 3 minutes, and I'm going to tell you this peace and safety certainly looks different, and I don't know, this is only my second time rewatching it, so I saw it once, say, okay, I'm going to do a video about this. So I don't know how old it is. I'm gathering from what I remember that it's just recently. It's some leader of the Muslim nations saying, if we do a two-state solution, we will have a peace plan. I'm not kidding you. That's why it says in the title, this is biblical. Watch this to know what happens next. Sorry, there was another title, I was sure. Excuse me, just can't see it here. In any case, I'm going to play this. And right before I hit play on this, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen because it's happening in front of our face. What is the Ezekiel war? When is it going to take place? What's Gog and Magog and all these things, man? I don't know, but you see the nations. You see the nations, right? It's like Psalm 2, right? And, I can take my guesses at things. My best interpretation, someone's going to have this right, and who knows. It's quite evident at the end of Revelation something with Gog and Magog, right? That they come up upon the breadth of the earth and then God destroys them. But, and Satan is loosed, right? And he just goes out to deceive the nations again. Is there a battle before? And I don't truly know. But I can't remember if it's this guy, but I was listening to the reasoning of many different teachers about this topic. Man, I've been looking into this, and sorry guys, just give me a sec here. I've been having a really tough time. It's my abdomen. Put out my back, like, you get it right under the rib on each side. Those muscles there, goes around in the abdomen. Boy, man, does a job. So I would agree with this consensus that I believe there's going to be a peace. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll just see what happens. But it appears to me that there could be the peace that we're waiting for. Are we truly in the tribulation now, or is it when they start to make this deal? Whenever they start it, will that start the timeline? Let's listen.
But basically, it's in the light of what we would call a global crisis of global proportions, that the Bible says there will be introduced a new way of governing and ruling and controlling the world. He tells us that there'll be this charismatic, unifying leader who will promise, according to Paul to the Thessalonians, peace and safety.
This is a statement from the Secretary General, and I'll read it to you in the first person. I remain profoundly alarmed by from the Secretary General.
I'm just getting this is only the second time I've heard this, so. New York, June 18th, 2025. Stefan Dujarric, sorry guys, my food in my mouth, but United Nations spokesperson. This is a statement from the Secretary General.
And I'll read it to you in the first person. I remain profoundly alarmed by the ongoing military escalation in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. I reiterate my call for the immediate de-escalation leading to a ceasefire. I strongly appeal to all to avoid any further internationalization of the conflict. Any additional military interventions could have enormous consequences, not only for those involved, but for the whole region and for the international peace and security at large. I condemn this tragic and unnecessary loss of lives and injuries to civilians and damage to homes and critical civilian infrastructure. Diplomacy remains the best and only way to address.
So who's saying this? The UN? I kind of missed that. In any case.
Concerns regarding Iran's nuclear programs and regional security issues. The UN Charter remains our shared framework to save people from the scourge of war. I urge all member states to comply fully with the Charter and international law, including international humanitarian law.
It's particularly this word peace or safety in the original, which means stability, security, safe from enemies and dangers. That there'll be this one who will say, I'm going to fix everything that's wrong and make it all work the way it's supposed to.
I'm going to add one sentence. The Israeli Prime Minister came here today and...
So here it is. And, you may disagree with me, and that's okay because you have not seen the full evidence or will not let yourself allow to see the evidence. I can draw out for you at least 35 significant things that points to Donald Trump being the Antichrist. Satanic things to the core. So I do believe it's him. I do believe we're in that time. We're seeing the things that they told us to look for. I'm not going to be blind. I see it happening. So listen to this guy. So this is only the second time I'm seeing this. Is this guy speaking for the Arabs? Let's take a look, and I'll rewind it if I have to. This is important.
The way it's supposed to.
I'm going to add one sentence. The Israeli Prime Minister came here today and said that Israel is surrounded by those who want to destroy it, an enemy. We're here, members of a Muslim Arab Committee, mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries.
I'm talking to... Sorry, guys. This guy, member of a Muslim Arab committee. This is the United Nations back here. And 57 countries, okay? That's pretty big. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't represent, everyone. But I would say that that is the majority. You're going to say not the radicals, but... So I hadn't heard this before. I don't know what date this took place, but it must be because of... My guess is because they're looking at, this 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb and what's going to happen if they do it. So let's listen to this. Don't worry, I'll let you hear the whole thing, but I have to build this up properly.
A Muslim Arab Committee, mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries. And I can tell you here, very unequivocally, all of us are willing to, right now, guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state, independent state along the
Ayman Safadi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Jordan. This is the first time I've ever heard them say such a thing. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments section. This is significant. This is a road to supposed peace and splitting of the land. We'll see.
Of Israel, in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state, independent state along the efforts that we all agree. He is creating that danger because he simply does not want the two-state solution. And if he does not want the two-state solution, can you ask Israeli officials, what is their end game? Other than just wars and wars and wars. I'm telling you, all of us in the Arab world here, we want a peace in which Israel lives in peace and security, accepted, normalized with all Arab countries in the context of ending the occupation, normalized with all Arab countries in the context of accepted, normalized Arab world here. We want a peace in which Israel lives in peace and security, accepted, normalized with all Arab countries in the context of ending the occupation, withdrawing from Arab territory, allowing for the emergence of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state on June 4, 1967, lines with occupied Jerusalem as capital. That is our narrative. That is, and we will guarantee Israel's security in that context. Can you ask Israelis what's their narrative other than I'm going to continue to go to war, I'm going to kill this and kill that and destroy this and this that? The amount of damage that Israeli government has done, 30 years of efforts to convince people that peace is possible, this Israeli.
Do you blame them? Because everyone wants to kill them, so they have to kill you. That's just the way I see it. And I know it goes back. I've read all those. I know why it happened. The British, I understand.
Government killed it. The amount of dehumanization, hatred, bitterness will take generations to navigate through. So ultimately the question is, we want peace, and we've laid out a plan for peace. Ask any Israeli official what is their plan for peace. You'll get nothing, because they're only thinking of the first step. We're going to go destroy Gaza, inflame the West Bank, destroy Lebanon, and after that they have no plan. We have a plan. We have no partner for peace in Israel. There is a partner for peace in the Arab world, and that's why the international community needs to move.
It's also interesting, and I think not just coincidentally, that one of the first things the United Nations did was declare that Israel was a nation. And that has led to all sorts of interesting complications in the world today, which we'll talk about later on.
But Matt, Iran has kicked out IAEA inspectors. There could be portions of their nuclear program that are secret. A nuclear secret in the Middle East. How about it? If the world is interested in a secret nuclear program in the Middle East, there is a country that won't allow any international inspectors. Israel. Israel has a nuclear weapon. Did you know that? I do. They allow no inspections. They are fully secretive and clandestine about it, and the Americans are fully aware. You know what? I don't even blame.
I think that guy's an idiot. I think that guy's an idiot. Why? Because just like the USA, Britain, France, whatever, Russia, they have it for peace reasons, and they've never used it on anyone. And actually, they developed the neutron or proton, the neutron bomb. It's a different type of nuclear weapon, but I forget if it was a 67 or 72 war. I can't recall right now. But if they got overrun, that was their only option, which they called, I think, the Samson method. And that's the only reason they would do it, if they overrun them. Listen, they came from World War II. 6 million were murdered, and it was race-based. Of course they don't want to, you read the book of Esther and stuff like that. I don't blame them, and they keep it a secret. They should keep it a secret. And so I just remembered that they said And this happened, that they were going to deter. They weren't going to lob a nuclear weapon at Egypt and all their cities. They developed a trick, and if it came to it, and they did trick them too, they were going to make a decoy, and a whole army would follow this decoy into the desert, where they would take out that army with a nuclear weapon, so they could stop a war. And it probably would stop a war, because the other side didn't have a nuclear weapon. They're just trying to defend themselves. This is endless, you know it. And I think he's stupid. Sorry, that's what he is. How do you know? They have stockpiles of all types of chemical weapons and pathogens. And I'm surprised, to tell you the truth, that nothing has been... You never see that happen. And we're lucky, right? I'm talking about, they have rooms full of this stuff, and they could easily put it on a missile. So what makes you think that they don't have a dirty bomb underground somewhere? They've been using this nuclear program for quite some time. I don't know what they have. It's they're going to have a nuclear device within 2 weeks for 20 years, right? That's what we hear. I don't truly know. I can't pretend to know.
Israel for this. If they want to develop a nuclear weapon, if they had the blessing to do so secretly, I'm not in judgment of that. But to drag the world into a regime change war over secret nuclear weapons, when you have secret nuclear weapons, is a bit
You think this is only about Israel? They persecute people in Canada, in the States, and wherever Iranians go. Pay to slay, all that type of stuff. These are isolationists. And isolationists really paid a price in World War II because they were wrong. There's always going to be isolationists. And in this case, it's wrong. But in any case...
hypocritical. So here's the deal. How about Iran and Israel both give up their secret nuclear weapon programs? If Trump got that deal, he wouldn't only get the Nobel Peace...
What if that happened? So we're reading Ezekiel, right? Unwalled villages. But what does unwalled villages really mean? Because when you look at it, Israel has been living in quite a lot of peace in the 77 years that it's been so far. People are going to say, well, there's suicide. But man, how many people do you know say, I feel safe in Israel? So I understand they have a wall 20 feet tall and all that type of stuff. I get that. But, I don't know what the Bible truly means. We'll see.
Prize, they'd probably name it the Trump Peace Prize forevermore. And it's not that crazy to think about Israel denuclearizing.
But this concern, I think, was best expressed by the man who in my early generation, or early lifetime, was the most famous and trusted news broadcaster and journalist in the entire United States, if not around the world. A man by the name of Walter Cronkite. Most people don't realize that in 1999, he spoke at the United Nations, and he received the Norman Cousins Global Governance Award. He received the award for being the one who had worked the hardest in that year to push forward the idea of one world government based upon the United Nations. In that speech, listen to what he says. It seems to many of us that if we are to avoid the eventual catastrophic world conflict, in other words, people concerned about nuclear war and war beyond anything we'd ever experienced, if we're going to avoid it, we must strengthen the United Nations as a first step towards a world government. With a legislature, executive, and judiciary, and police force to enforce international laws and to keep the peace. To do that, of course, we Americans will have to yield up some of our sovereignty. In other words, the idea that we are an independent nation state. We have to get over that and move on. That would be a bitter pill, he admitted. It would take a lot of courage, a lot of faith, in the New World Order. This leader will come in the wake of a time of tumult, and people will believe that he's the one. And Revelation gives us some indication.
He's here. Sorry, guys. Again, if you can hear my chewing, I apologize. Mute on, mute off, mute on, mute off.
Of how he accomplishes these things. But we're also warned that rather than bringing the peace and safety that he promises, it says it will be a time of sudden destruction. Olithros in the Greek, the word destruction there literally means ruin and death and destruction. That in his path will be horrible consequences. In fact, he's a ruler, we're told in Revelation 6, who is not bent on peace, but rather, he tells us, he is bent on conquest. Daniel, in fact, goes on to say that he will devour the whole earth. He will trample it down and crush it, causing astounding devastation, and he will crush and break all others.
About using so-called bunker-busting bombs that only the U.S. has on a deep underground nuclear facility.
I don't know the technical danger. I'm not an expert for this. I know that there is a danger in which America can get us involved in a regional and maybe even in a world war. I mean, the Russians already said some things, and I don't think they can remain passive if the United States will attack.
I can't go too long on this, guys, because I got to study, but I wanted to say some things. It's Donald Trump who is the Antichrist. And I know people are waiting for the United Nations and another Roman Empire, but it may not turn out that way. Take a look at the United States. China is strong. They're very powerful. But they're not even close to the United States. In terms of nuclear weapons, well, actually, I don't know. The U.S. has the best submarines. Anyways, it would just take one submarine to take out the whole world, just so you know. One of the U.S. submarines. And they have enough power in all of them, I think, to do it 10 times over. They have weapons, and they spend $1 trillion a year on their defense. What weapons do you think they have by now? These anti-gravity, whatever you're seeing, it's the United States. I can understand from studying World War II with the Bell, if you know what that is. I believe they have found out a way for anti-gravity, just like the Russians did with the torpedoes, where they can manipulate the water around it. It's not unfathomable to think that is so. The U.S. is powerful. Personally, I believe they have the sonic power to create earthquakes. I do. Sorry guys, I'm really breathless. Take a look at the world stage right now. It looks like we're in a world war because we are. It just hasn't gone full tilt yet. I don't have to say much, do I? China, Taiwan, North Korea, who knows what they'll do. They've made promises with Iran. China with Iran. China brought a plane, by the way, turned off their transponders, which is not a good sign. Flew however many planes into Iran. Could be nuclear weapons. Could be. Because they have a big stake in oil and whatever, right? China is a parasite. Sorry, they are. And so when did they ever become the moral authority? Look at Russia and Ukraine. That's against the West. You know it. It's funded by China, and so is Iran's war on Israel. You just don't know it. Look at North Africa. Look at India and Pakistan. We're talking potential massive conflicts. So we're there. You know we're there. We're in that time. And before any of these came about, Matthew 24 started to happen. There was things happening in society, people changing, events happening, people not even answering to their own peoples. That's the U.S. There's just so much deception in the media. It only took 15 years to destroy this world. And I never hear it I never hear this on other Christian channels. I never do. It's the internet, man. Social media officially 2010. It has destroyed this world thoroughly. It has taken away the family. It has taken away everything that matters. It has turned people into narcissists, not personality disorder, but into narcissists. They love themselves, like Paul said. I don't have enough time to go to the scripture in Thessalonians, but when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction will come upon them like labor pains. I hope. I look at the seals and I try to fit the pieces together. I know the altar, the fifth seal, and then the sixth seal is the mighty man hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. And the fourth, the one before, is death and Hades, right? To be honest, I won't even try to put it together. It's just too difficult. But when people say to you that this could go on for 10 years maybe, and there could, the peace that they are going to make, we'll see what it's, because they're going to split the land because it says so. It's not going to go on for that long. Why? Because of what Jesus said in Matthew 24 in the Olivet Discourse. The birth pains keep getting stronger and stronger. So, I hope this is... Listen, I'm not well, guys. I haven't been well in the last while because I lifted a TV, hurt my back, retore the adhesion that had healed. I can't lift. It was because it was wide. It was a 40-inch TV. It was just a flat screen. It wasn't heavy. It was like maybe 20 pounds. But it's just the strangeness, and I went upstairs with it, like I was going up the stairs with it. And when I tear these things, it causes me abdominal pain because it's right at that level, and it goes around. Holy. And so, man, there's more to it that I'd like to say, but I don't want to be that. Guys, Jesus Christ is going to come and save us. And I keep looking at the order of things, and it just dances around in my mind. How is this going to happen? Pay attention to the news. Read the Bible. Always read the Bible. Don't let things get to you. God is going to mark us. He's going to mark us. Actually, you know what? There is one scripture I want to show you. It's just amazing how the Muslims and the Jews don't see the Son, right? They don't see the Trinity in the Old Testament, and there are certainly passages that show so. And seriously, it shocks me how the Jews don't see it in Zechariah, where it says, "They will look on me whom they pierced." I mean, what do they think when they see that? And then you match up Isaiah 53 with the suffering Messiah. They think it's about them. They think Isaiah 53 is about the nation of Israel, but it's Jesus. Look at this. So I'm not going to read all that. And I know I have this and it's showing that on the screen. I just haven't changed that yet. So, the Lord is talking to Ezekiel, and God's talking to Ezekiel, and, Son of man, set your face toward Jerusalem, preach against the holy places. This is when they were, completely out of control, obviously worshiping Satan. And now he's, they were at a point where they were exceedingly evil. Look, verse 8 of Ezekiel 21. Again the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus says the Lord, say, a sword is sharpened, and also polished. Listen to verse 10. Sharpened to make a dreadful slaughter, polished to flash like lightning. Should we then make mirth? It despises the scepter of my son. Well, what more do they want it to say, my son? God is saying he has a son? So, the trouble that you see me have on here most of the time, the breathlessness, it's my lower esophageal sphincter, but there's something that's affecting it a lot, that it's a really uncommon disorder. I had surgery on my abdomen in 2007. And I had adhesions all down my abdomen. I have them from my sternum to my pelvis. And eventually over time they shrank, and it created something called the splenic flexure syndrome. And it's a horrible syndrome. So imagine this. Imagine your colon that goes across. Imagine it getting stopped. And it digs so hard up into your left rib, and it cannot turn. So, what's in your colon, right? I don't have to say it. And it's a colic disorder. And so it's like when I start to eat, it's not always the same, but that's why you see me eating a lot of different meals. This is a life-changing disorder. It changed my personality. It literally did. Made me into a restless, can't really sit all that much. Man, horrible disorder. That's why I take some colic meds. But so imagine, what's the word I'm looking for? It gets trapped completely. What do you think happens behind it when it gets trapped up in there? It's like it gets locked for a certain amount of time, and it's sticking so much. I put my fingers in there to try to undo it with my, for years, I was damaging my abdomen because I couldn't control it. I didn't have proper medicine. I was always trying to dig it out. Man. And I didn't know what it was, but then I'm like, okay, I found out later in my files, obviously, I was operated on my splenic flexure. It's a colic syndrome, and it just pushes so hard, and that's why I got to walk 2 times a day to push, your bowel contents through. I don't want to be, but that's why you see me having a lot of trouble. I can't wait for the day that those types of things are gone. There's not another abdominal disorder like this one. It feels like, it literally feels like there's something like a piece of metal stuck in there. When you start eating, it starts pushing in so hard, you're restless, your mind's racing, and I have to deal with it. That's just one thing I have to deal with. So, I'm used to abdominal pain, that's for sure, and yeah. So, anyways, guys, my main message is Jesus Christ is coming back, and the things that he said to us were true. And I don't know about you, I just want to be in a place where I don't have to look around. I don't have to look behind my back. I don't have to worry about people deceiving and stealing from me and being able to sit down. No tears in our eyes. beauty you cannot imagine. Ecstasy beyond words. That by human means you and I cannot even imagine. The best we've ever felt. It goes infinity times beyond that, and I won't even pretend to know. God bless.